For many survivors, one of the more confusing parts of recovery begins after the relationship ends. There is often a quiet assumption that once the relationship is over, relief should arrive quickly, that clarity should increase, that the nervous system should settle, that things should begin to feel more stable simply because the source of harm is no longer physically present. But for many people, that is not what happens. Instead, the period after the relationship ends can feel unexpectedly destabilizing, sometimes even more destabilizing than parts of the relationship itself. And when that happens, many survivors begin to question their own progress. They wonder why they feel worse now that they are out, why they feel more emotionally unsteady, more mentally scattered, or more vulnerable than they expected to feel once the relationship was over. This is one of the places recovery is often misinterpreted. What feels like regression is often the nervous system beginning to register what it could not safely process while survival was still the priority. During the relationship, a large amount of internal energy is often directed toward adaptation, monitoring, anticipation, managing instability, trying to reduce escalation, trying to preserve some form of emotional or psychological footing inside an environment that keeps disrupting it. That survival focus can create a kind of temporary organization. Not a healthy one, not a peaceful one, but an organized one. In many cases, this organization reflects how intelligently your system adapted under prolonged pressure. Your system has a job. Stay alert, track the environment, adjust quickly, keep functioning, keep stabilizing around whatever happens next. When the relationship ends, that organizing demand often changes faster than the nervous system does. The external environment may shift, but the internal system does not immediately understand that the conditions have changed. It may still be oriented around vigilance, still expecting disruption, still scanning for what is about to happen next. And without the same immediate target for that vigilance, many people begin to feel the underlying disorganization more clearly. The end of the relationship removes the structure of survival, but it does not instantly replace it with internal stability. That distinction matters because many survivors assume that feeling destabilized after the ending must mean they made the wrong decision, or that they are weaker than they thought, or that they now should be further along. But post-exit destabilization is not evidence that the ending was wrong, and it is not evidence that healing is failing. It is often what happens when the system is no longer occupied with immediate relational management and begins, slowly, to reveal the cost of what it has been carrying. This can show up in different ways. A person may feel more emotionally reacted than expected, more fatigued, less decisive, less confident in their own timing. They may find that their mind is busier, not quieter. Their body may feel less steady, not more. Even simple choices can begin to feel heavier during this phase. Not because they are incapable. not because they are broken, but because the nervous system is reorganizing after prolonged adaptation. When people are still inside the relationship, they are often measuring stability by whether they can get through the day, reduce conflict, maintain some predictability, or keep themselves emotionally contained enough to function. After the relationship ends, the measure begins to change. Now the system is no longer being asked only to survive instability. It is being asked to live without organizing around it. And that is a very different task. Leaving ends the relationship. It does not instantly end the nervous system's expectation of disruption. That expectation usually softens more gradually. This is also why healing can feel unfamiliar in ways people do not expect. Sometimes freedom arrives first as a structural change. Stability often develops later as a nervous system experience, and the distance between those two can feel unfamiliar or difficult to interpret. This does not necessarily mean healing is making things worse. Sometimes it means healing is making certain internal realities more visible, before deeper stability has had time to form around them. Sometimes what feels more destabilizing is not healing itself. It is the loss of survival structure before deeper stability has had time to form. That is a very different thing, and it deserves to be understood that way. Many survivors later realize there are additional layers to this phase that only become visible as stability begins to return. Over time, many survivors begin to notice that their experience of this phase starts to shift in ways that are not always linear or immediately understandable. Not all at once, not through pressure, but through gradual changes in internal predictability. Their system may begin to rely less on constant threat anticipation. The body can feel less urgent at times. The mind can feel less crowded in certain moments. Their own timing may begin to feel more trustworthy again, even if that trust is still inconsistent. But this phase often becomes much easier to move through once it is no longer being misread as failure. If structured support would feel helpful during this part of the process, Power and Purpose Academy offers a paced environment designed to support nervous system stabilization and the gradual restoration of internal authority, without pressure and without forcing progress before your system is ready. You can explore that below whenever it feels appropriate. And if you're not ready for that, you are welcome to stay here and continue at your own pace. In the next video, we'll look more closely at why relief and disorientation can exist at the same time after leaving, and why that does not mean you are moving in the wrong direction. We'll pause here.